So second day of Champions Cup Rugby, this time with 5 games. After that kind of introduction match for me with Leinster putting a massive scoreline over Wasps, I did say I'd like to see some closer games. And I think we got what I asked for. Apart from, a 14-point scoreline with the Ulster-Leicester match is still not a massive difference, but yeah, for the most part, some pretty close games. I have got the Ospreys gear on today. The only game which they broadcast live and in full here in New Zealand was the Scarlets against Racing game, so I figured I don't have a Scarlets jersey. Ospreys, it's the next best thing. I'm not sure how Scarlets fans will feel about me putting Ospreys gear on, but anyway, these games, I've seen the highlights for all of them. Interesting, quite a few of them have, as a helicopter passes over my house, that kind of one moment which is going to be a talking point for the game. The first one in particular with Bath going down 22 points to 20 against Toulouse. It was another game that was kind of tit for tat. You know, Medard got a try after Bath opened the scoreline with a penalty. Roberts got a try, which was a great bit of work from him. It's great to see him back and kind of doing what he does. Burns, who right up until the end of the game, with a couple of moments, was actually having a pretty good shift from the highlights that I saw. Yeah, Guiton got a couple of tries. Burns missed a penalty. Kaino got a yellow card. Ellis got a yellow card. It was really back and forward stuff. There wasn't like a consistent one-siders dominating this match. 61 minutes, Guiton got his second try, put it out to the scoreline, which it ended up being. In the 73rd minute, Burns had a chance pretty much right out in front with a penalty to put Bath out in front, but it hit the post. And then about 2 minutes later, just as the commentator was saying, you know, this is his chance for redemption, a little bit casual and going in for a try, and Medard just was able to get in behind him and dislodge the ball, so it ended up kind of being a knock on to Bath. So it's hard to be too hard on him. Of course, guys should run the ball in hard and just put the ball down as quickly as possible, but you do see it a lot. 9 times, even more than that, you know, 99 times out of 100. It's going to be fine. There's not really going to be much interference, but he didn't see Medard coming. I guess if there was a call of man on, he didn't hear it, and it was kind of, yeah, doubling down on him not being able to put Bath in front. So I'm sure he's going to get a lot of stick for that. If nothing else, I'm sure he'll take that as kind of a lesson learned to yeah, just run that a little bit harder, even if you know, even if it looks like you're going to be in for a sure thing. Because, yeah, as coach Todd Blackadder wasn't too hard on him after the game, basically said that the guys need to get behind him, and so do supporters, which is probably fair enough. But, yeah, there's probably going to be a few frustrated fans in that they couldn't kind of close that one out. For them, the stats overall for the game, it was pretty even. Bath edged the position and territory just in the early 50s. Bath's tackling rate was probably one of the lowest of all the Champions Cup games this week, down at 75%, whereas Toulouse were at 84%. And goal kicking for Bath, 57% to Toulouse's 75% was perhaps another point of difference in this game. But, yeah, like I said, there wasn't that much in it, and really it could have gone either way. But most people are basically going to be talking about Freddie Burns after this one. In the next one, Munster have gone into Sandy Park and walked away with half of the points because they got a 10-all draw. Low scoring game, but I would imagine part of that was down to the weather. The wind in this one seemed to be, again, only seen highlights, it seemed to be crazy wind. Anytime there was a place kick, they had to have a guy you know, holding the ball, because otherwise it was going to just be blown over. The line-out stats are really poor for both sides, but again, with you throwing the ball into that kind of crosswind, it's going to be difficult for anyone to get that to go straight. Exeter started off with a penalty, but then Carberry evened things up 3-all. Cowan Dickey got a try, put it out to 10-3 in kind of typical Exeter style. A few metres out, the forwards did their thing, and yeah, Munster not able to hold them. But then, after that try, this is kind of like I said, a lot of these games have got a controversial moment. This one was Andrew Conway went to charge down the conversion for that Cowan Dickey try, and in kind of jumping to try and block the conversion, he ended up following through from the air and hitting the kicker, knocking him over. So nothing was done about it. It doesn't look like there was any punishment for it, and I guess Exeter fans would be pretty annoyed that there was nothing done about it. But it's hard to judge that one because that virtually never happens. Most of the guys who go to charge down kicks don't really even end up getting that close to the kicker. So yeah, it's kind of hard to go on any I don't know, previous cases of that happening. Not in my recent memory anyway. 64th minute, a stunner. Hit back for Munster with a try, and it was converted. In the 79th minute, Joey Carberry put a kick through from his own. I think it was his own 22. It didn't seem like he put that much weight on it, but it went all the way dead. That wind just dragged it all the way dead. So there was probably a chance that Exeter could have taken it at the end, but not able to get it done. But yeah, like I said, great crowd with the noise, a lot of wind, which made life difficult. Stats, again, pretty even. Position and territory seemed to kind of be the way that the team which was playing into the wind had a lot more ball. Kind of makes sense because the team with the wind is going to kick it and make use of that. Tackling was the main amazing stat from this game, in that like Exeter made 173 tackles and Munster made 157. Those are huge numbers, and both of them, Munster 85%, Exeter 93. So that's some, I guess the scoreline kind of tells the story of the defence. But yeah, Munster will be pretty happy. Exeter probably disappointed not to be able to nick it there at the end. But in those conditions, tough for either team to really kind of get going. The third game, ball was thrown out around a fair bit more in this game with Montpellier beating Edinburgh 21 points to 15. Yeah, the ball was really, really flying about. Lots of wide looping passes and some interesting runs, some tackle busts. A fairly high scoring game in the scheme of things. Immelman got a try. McAnally hit back, so it was 7 apiece. Fowl went through a few players with some tackle busts and got a try, made it 14 to 7. Ngandabe, if that's how you say his name, got a really sweet try from a cross kick, which came from like a lock doing a dummy pass and then a hooker doing an offload. It was frantic stuff. It was really entertaining. 21 points to 7, they went out to that lead by half time. Or was it 21 points to 10? Anyway, Bismarck got a yellow card for, Bismarck du Plessis got a yellow card for killing the ball. Dougie Fife got a try, made it 21-15. 68th minute, Edinburgh probably blew a pretty golden chance to score a try. There was a big gap. 2 guys went for the ball. One ended up obstructing a player. If only one guy had gone for it, it probably would have been a stroll in, but not to be. They did walk away with a bonus point, which is something to be said when you're traveling away. Entertainment for sure. But looking at the stats, Edinburgh probably a bit disappointed they didn't get more from it, because they had pretty much 70% possession and territory, more so in the second half. It was really dominant. Montpellier had to make 168 tackles to Edinburgh's 56. That kind of tells a story on its own. So, encouraging stuff from Edinburgh, but not enough to sneak a win. Yeah, but still, you can't be too down in the dumps about walking away with a bonus point in an away game. So Montpellier will be pretty happy to take that. Ruan Pino was pretty good with the boot in that game as well. The next one, Ulster taking down Leicester 24 points to 10. Tries to O'Connor, Addison and Stockdale. For Leicester, it was Tuilangi. There was some pretty big rain in this game. So again, I guess with that storm in Europe, kind of over the weekend, it was always going to make some of these games pretty hard in terms of the conditions. It was a fair bit of tit for tat in the first half. It wasn't that kind of high scoring, but the second half certainly blew things open. There was a yellow card in this game as well. But yeah, still pretty low scoring in the first half. I'm trying to think who got that yellow card. I didn't write the note. But, it was, it was Ford. Ford got a yellow card. Michael Lowry went on a really long run during that yellow card period, but they weren't able to score during it to kind of capitalise on it. Ulster scored in the 43rd and then almost again straight after, but it was deemed to be a forward pass pretty much from the kickoff. So something was said to the Ulster boys at halftime because they were certainly picking things up in that second half. Overall stats, especially important for Ulster, but 55 points, not 55 points, 55% possession for them, 45 to Leicester. Both teams were tackling around about the 80s, so fairly solid. But Leicester's lineout was operating at 66. And I talk about blaming the conditions. Well, Ulster's who had more lineouts, 95%. So can't really blame that too much in that one. The ending of the match itself was pretty crazy end-to-end stuff with Leicester almost kind of scraping through for another try, but it was not to be. Michael Lowry was one of the stars of this show. Run meters, defenders beaten, excellent. For Leicester, both their locks made a whole lot of tackles. When I looked at the final stats, like clearly the two highest tackling players. So some good work rate, but not enough for them to walk away with any points. Final one. The final one, which is the one I saw in full. It was on at about 5:20 here in New Zealand in the morning, so bright and early start for me. Scarlets have gone down 13 points to 14 to Racing 92. This match again had its own kind of controversial call. It was one that the lead changed several times in this game. Halfpenny opened scoring with a penalty. Shizuru got a try. That was also while O'Brien was being treated, so it was perhaps kind of fortuitous for Racing that they took their chance while there was a man kind of out of action. Half-time Racing had the lead and also had more possession and territory, but that Scarlet scrum was getting some pay. Gomez Sarr was getting penalised quite a fair bit, although there were points in the game where Racing scrum did get on top. It was windy. Again, with kind of links to that storm, so it did make life a little bit difficult. Angus O'Brien put in a few good kicks for touch basically, and for a guy stepping up to the plate in a pretty big game, I thought he was good from what I saw of him. But the big call in this one was the penalty try at the end. He gave it pretty quickly. I didn't actually, that's the one moment of the game that I had to duck out because my young son started to stir because it was getting towards his wake-up time, and when I came back I just saw the referee awarding a penalty try, so it wasn't one that seemed to be agonised over. Gareth Davis got a yellow card. I should have mentioned he got a really nice try. A little kind of faking jink move from the back of a scrum. He was impressive. Johnny McNichol, Kiwi boy, good player. He played well. But yeah, penalty try right at the end. Usually they kind of agonise over those things, but I guess, when they give it straight, it's usually because it's been scrum after scrum after scrum, and then stuff it, you're getting a penalty try and a yellow card. But this one was straight to the yellow and a penalty try, which did enough for Racing to walk away with the win. Possession and territory kind of finished 50-50, so pretty even in that regard. Tackling both teams pretty well. One weird moment in this game, Ryan Elias came on in the number 76 jersey, which I've never ever seen before. Apparently the 16 jersey was too small, and as the commentators kind of mentioned, why is there a 76 jersey? No idea. But yeah, for me, as a first kind of proper look at some Champions Cup games from the Leinster video, people told me the other games are going to be a bit closer. Sure enough, they were, and again, a bit of controversy. Some kind of red faces, some refereeing calls, which are always a bit controversial. But yeah, interesting set of results. But as I said, the first four ones weren't covered here, so I only managed to see the highlights. Did see pretty much all of the last ones. So you guys let me know your thoughts on the games, stuff that I haven't covered here, because there's bound to be a fair bit. But interesting results. You guys let me know your thoughts, and yeah, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.